I'm Mike Belcito, co-founder of eFuneral, and I want to spend a couple of minutes today to talk about a topic that isn't exactly easy for most people to talk about or even think about, and that is end-of-life planning or funeral planning. Now, again, this is something that a lot of people, especially when they're in the right mind and they're living life to their fullest now and again, years, maybe decades away from being in a situation where they're ultimately planning on dying, you never know when that situation can come, and it's really important to make certain decisions ahead of time so that family members of yours aren't left with a burden. And by that, I don't mean that you have to fully plan out your funeral and pay for everything ahead of time. It's really not about that. It's about making important decisions now on specific topics and thinking through specific topics and having real conversations with family, so when that time comes, your family isn't left with a certain burden. So I want to get right into it, and the first thing that you can do right now that would actually help you in the long run is to start to create a financial inventory and sort of an account inventory of any account you maintain. So of course, I say financial because that does include bank accounts, maybe 401k, investments, all of that. You want to make sure that all of that information is in one place. You want to make sure that all of your passwords and everything like that is in one place, certainly well protected, but is in a place where a friend, a family member, somebody that you trust, when you're nearing the end of your life, when you're at the end of your life, they can find that information and use it to start to close down accounts rather than try to hunt for that and go through your whole house and whatnot. So having all that information available and sort of saved in one place, it's a great idea. And not just financial data, social media accounts, things like Facebook, things like your Gmail account. Those are things that also should be included. But again, you want to make sure that if you're keeping all that information in one place, it's well protected. I want to stress that. The other thing that you can do is start to think about advanced directives. So things like a living will. If that's something that you haven't done before, that's probably something that you should have done. At least it's something that you should explore. So think about going through that process now instead of waiting until later on when you might not eventually get to doing that. So that's incredibly important to think about right now. The other thing that you want to do is to begin to understand your options from funeral homes in the area. So if you know ultimately that you want to have a funeral service take place in a specific neighborhood, start to understand those options now. The last thing that you want to have happen is understanding those options at the very last moment, or worse, having your family try to make a decision in a very emotional time when they're really not going to be thinking with their mind. They're going to be making decisions based out of extreme emotion. So try to understand those options now. Certainly eFuneral is an option for that. You can use eFuneral for free to understand what your options are from multiple funeral providers in the area, and of course there's no cost or obligation. But no matter how you do it, it's just important that you figure out what those options are from the multiple funeral providers in whatever area you're interested in having a funeral take place now, rather than waiting until the very last minute. The other thing that you can do is view other resources online. We're hopeful that our resources are helpful to you, but I'll share another set of resources that should be helpful, and that's Caring Connections. So if you go to caringinfo.org, it's information that's coming from the National Hospice and Palliative Care Organization. They have a complete checklist that's available to you on how you can start to make some of these end-of-life decisions now rather than waiting. So that checklist can be very helpful. And there's also resources available there that will help you have a conversation with your family about this topic. Again, not an easy topic to talk through, but the more that you can have information at your disposal, that'll help you have those conversations. And it is important to have those conversations sooner rather than later. So I hope that some of these tips are helpful. Certainly, this is something that you'll need a lot of information, I'm sure, in order to really get your mind to a place where you know what to do to take that next step. So I definitely encourage you to continue to get other data points. However, if you're interested in viewing other resources that we have available, you're certainly welcome to do that. And you could go to www.efuneral.com/resources for other articles and other resources that we offer. You can also view video resources on our official YouTube channel, which is available at youtube.com/efuneralresources.